You know, even among close friends, I generally steer clear from real emotionally deep discussions, partly in the fear that others might think I'm crazy, right? Now, there has always been a stigma about it, it seems. So when I heard that someone is taking a super deep dive into tackling mental health for everyone, I want to learn more. Now, I'm Andy Asher. I'm editor over here at BloomerBoomer, over a decade connecting with people over 50. And today we are talking to a gentleman, Jeff Williams. And he's CEO of MindPath Care Centers. And from what I am seeing, Jeff, you guys are onto a possible game changer when it comes to behavior and mental health. It's good having you here today.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, well, would you like to, I'd like to hear about what you envision as MindPath. There's always been that stigma, unwilling to admit that we have emotional problems. Is that something that you think you've figured out and how to overcome that?
Well, great question. I don't know if we fully figure out how to overcome it because it is a social dynamic that we alone, cannot change. But what is significantly important is to think about the language that we use in talking about mental and behavioral healthcare. And so, one of the things that we're doing, in addition to the different treatments and creating access to mental health care in general, by virtue of our size and the locations that we're in, is we're changing the conversation, beginning with our brand. We don't talk about mental and behavioral health care and that kind of historical sense. We talk about mind care, and mind care is intended to be partnered with your physical care, right? So that you can meet your overall wellness objectives or goals, and have a well-balanced, total, healthy lifestyle.
Well, no, I get that, and it seems the way it is now. If you need to find a psychologist, maybe you do a Google search or you ask your doctor or a close friend.
You know what? That's a great start. I mean, the first step is actually asking for it. And so whether you're asking a friend or a relative, or you're getting on the internet and doing a Google search, or you're asking your primary care physician, those are all the right first steps in beginning to deal with your mental health, your mind care. And so, we have multiple ways of delivering it. You can come into an office, you can do it through telemedicine platform. There you can do therapy, you can do the medical side. We have treatment devices. There are lots of ways to begin the treatment, but the first step is actually making that outreach that you.
Now, what attracted you to MindPath?
It's the state of things that we have in our society today, right? I mean, the mental and behavioral healthcare needs have never been greater. 45 million Americans every year suffer from some kind of mental illness. That's half of our population at one time or another has dealt with mental illness, and virtually all of us have dealt with it in the context of a friend or a family situation. There's nobody that hasn't been impacted by mental illness. And so when I became involved with MindPath, it was for that reason. I felt like in this chapter of my career, and I am a boomer, right? So I'm looking at the home stretch. I wanted to be involved in something that had dealt with a greater need in our society, that had a greater purpose. Not that those things I've done in the past weren't important, but in a very different way, this is more compelling. And, I've been all around healthcare, all around the hoop, so to speak, from, medication side and product side and technology side and clinical research side. But this side of being on the care delivery, and in this case for mind care, really, it's just really a fulfilling, it's a fulfilling chapter here in my life.
It must be. It must be terribly fulfilling. And I just want to know, do you have a vision that MindPath might become? I mean, it seems like it could become a game changer in the world of mental health.
Yeah. Look, we certainly think so. I mean, we are strictly outpatient. Okay, so we're not an inpatient facility or a hospital. We don't have any beds. We're strictly outpatient. We're out there in our communities, and we're throughout the state of North Carolina. As an outpatient mental and behavioral health care practice, if you will, or a psychology practice, or a psychiatric practice, or a mind care practice, however you want to think about it. We are one of the largest in the country, and so it is our vision that over the next few years we'll begin to migrate throughout the Southeast and begin to build a real strong regional presence in the southeastern part of the states. But through our telemedicine platform, we are looking at ways of being able to address the needs across the nation. We do a lot of telehealth today. I know we're kind of skewed here toward the boomer segment, but the the millennial generation love their phones, right? They love technology. And so we're using a lot of technology with them, both in the way they access us and in the way that we deliver care to them. And it's great.
Yeah, it is. And I've always had the belief that people of all ages have, similar concerns overall, except where it pertains to, the anxieties of aging. That is, someone in their 30s has a different concern than someone in their 70s. Am I right about that?
100%. I mean, our issues are always generally life stage related, right? But as we get older, things get much more complicated, and there are many more things to worry about. From, hey, you know what? I just retired. What the hell do I do now, right, with my life, right? Was my life up till now, what did I accomplish? Was it meaningful? Was it impactful? Do I feel proud about that legacy? And then, of course, there are more significant issues, the loss of a spouse, or a spouse who may have a serious chronic disease, and you're the caregiver and you're stressed and have high anxiety around that. You may have had a lifetime diagnosis of depression. I mean, it's not that uncommon, and so it will resurface.
Yeah,
and then
I imagine you've even seen data that's available to support what you're talking about.
Oh, no question. I mean, what age group do you think has the highest suicidality in our society?
The highest fatality?
Suicidality.
Suicide rate. It's probably, from everything that I've been hearing, especially lately, it is people over the baby boomers, I suppose.
Yeah, 65 and above has the highest suicide rate. And if you look at 85 and above, and that's in general more men than female, but an 85 and a plus, 85 and older is the second highest group, and regardless of gender. And so there are a lot of things that, chronic disease pulls us down, right? We're still young in mind. We still feel that we can get out there and crush it on the running trail, on the biking trail, on the tennis court, but we can't. And so we begin to deal with that too, in terms of depression and anxiety. We think about MindCare like we need to think about MindCare in terms of that stigma issue, much like we would think about going to see any doctor or going to get your teeth. Nobody looks askance at you because you have an appointment tomorrow morning with a dental hygienist. You're getting your teeth cleaned. This is no different. Nobody should look askew at you either on the fact that you have a therapist that can help you through these tough situations.
Typically in the past we call and make an appointment, but today it's different.
I mean, it is different. So there's a couple of ways to interact with us. I mean, we are introducing full-blown online scheduling, so you don't even need to call somebody. You can go on to our website, schedule an appointment, pick your provider based on reading their bios or their reviews. We're in the process of rolling that kind of an interface out for people. The other thing is we have a virtual waiting room, and so if you've ever tried to get an appointment with with a MindCare provider, good luck. They're booked out for months, and that's a good thing in a sense, right? Because people are seeking treatment and getting care. But it's also a frustrating thing if you really are in a crisis and you really feel like you need to have some, some attention. And so we have a virtual waiting room where you can go in just like Uber, and you can say, I'm here and I need a ride. Basically, I need somebody to see me. And so with the number of providers that we have, what happens is invariably there's a cancellation or a no-show, multiple cancellations or no-shows every day, every hour of every day across our footprint. And so those providers who are now faced with somebody that did not show up, they have 30 minutes on their hand. They log in to the backside of this platform and they see people in there waiting to be seen, and they'll pick them up. They'll see them online through telemedicine. And the average wait time in there right now has been about 16 minutes. And so rather than waiting 3 months to get an appointment, you can get one in 16 minutes. And so that's part of what we're doing to create access.
Yeah, that access is so important, and that's it's critical, really. In a way, it seems like you're not so concerned with destigmatizing mental health issues, but making it very available to people.
Yeah, the more that's available, the more it becomes acceptable. And so that's part of the equation to destigmatization. It's not just the words we use, although that's critically important, but it's also lowering the bar and making it easy for people to come in. I mean, lots and lots of providers out there don't, in the psychology, kind of vertical, if you will, don't accept insurance. We take all insurances. We've always had a mentality around getting people in because that's what's needed.
Let me ask you this. With your background and all your education, I mean, you're obviously a really smart guy. So how did you get into this area? And it's such a crucial and important area. It seems like a lot of bright people like yourself are going into more machines and equipment and all that. What drew you over to MindPath?
Well, it's a little bit of what I said before. I mean, when I exited my last company, I spent some time thinking about what I wanted to do next. I mean, I was at that stage in my life where, like I said, I've got another round or two right before I basically hang up the gloves. And what can I do? What can I be involved in that's going to make a really big difference? And I felt like I have the ability to make a big difference in whatever I get involved in. And so I spent, quite a bit of time, and I found this opportunity. Was able to partner with this company's been around for 20 years, a little more than 20 years. And so I was able to come in. They were looking for somebody that could help them scale and build this business in new ways and bring in some investment capital to do that. And so together, we made that happen. And I couldn't be happier. This is a tremendous company. We're doing tremendous things, and
and I know that you have some innovative new services that MindPath Care Centers offer patients, including we talked about telehealth and transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, things like that. Before we let you go, let's find out a little bit about what that all means.
Sure. So TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, is a deep brain stimulation technique, and it uses, you lay in a chair that kind of feels a lot like a dental chair, if you will. It's not leaned back quite as far, but there's an apparatus that holds a magnet up to your head, and is positioned by the physician in terms of hitting the right points inside your brain to help put it into a state where it can begin to, in a sense, I don't want to overstate this, but in a sense, kind of rewire the way your mind is working around anxiety or OCD or depression. Primarily, it's approved for depression. The technology is being shown to be effective in a wide range of disorders, but it's approved right now by the FDA only for depression and OCD. And so it's amazing. I mean, the remission rates that we see with this technology is in the 70% range, which for people who have failed 2 or 3 or 4 medications and are still having major, are major depressed, it's really been a life changer.
Someone who might need some help, what's the first step, best step to take?
We have the internet. We can research providers. We can read their reviews, and and don't be afraid. Nobody's watching. Get on the internet, do a search, find somebody locally, and ask some friends and family, because everybody, in all likelihood, somebody that's gotten help, and it's been a game changer for them.
Yeah, good point. That's a good final word. Anything else to add?
No, I think, look, I'll just say this, we believe very strongly that healthcare begins with MindCare, and you can't really get everything in balance without both. It's not here in North Carolina. I'm a mountain biker. I'm a big mountain biker. And one of the things I learned early on was about how to get over a log on my mountain bike. And I learned that, you get the front wheel over, the back wheel is going to follow. It's just going to happen. And the same thing goes for this. If you get your mind in the right place and you get your head on straight, and get your mind taken care of, your body's going to follow. You're going to have much better outcomes on your diabetes and your other chronic healthcare conditions, because you're in a better state of mind to watch your diet and exercise and get off the couch, and you're going to have lower healthcare expenses. And as a nation, we need to do this, and that's why we're going to see MindCare utilization begin to climb, and we're going to see the overall cost of these chronic diseases beginning to go down. So there's no time like now to start that for yourself.
Good analogy, a good metaphor that with a mountain bike. I like that. Jeff, thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
That's Jeff Williams. He is CEO, MindPath Care Centers. You can visit them at mindpathcare.com. And until next time, thanks a lot. So long.